Wow, wow, fabulous. Amazing. Hello. That is incredible. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hello.
Hello, my name is Yvette Rowland and I'm part of Smart Talking Women. Now, normally I have a get-together with the girls, but I also love to chat one-to-one with some really fascinating ladies. And today, well, very fascinating, my friend Michelle, who's a shaman. Do you know what? The title is so big, her tentacles reach into so many different areas. I'm going to let Michelle tell us exactly what she does. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Yvette. Thank you very much for welcoming me here. Today, I just want to talk a little bit about what I am, a shaman, what it means, and a little bit about where we are in the energy consciousness corridors, you know, how, what, why, what we can do about it, and what is actually happening in our spiritual communities.
Because I think, to just say, I think we can all feel that these are very different times, aren't they? They're very different times. But I'm just going to say, obviously you spent 20 years in the corporate world first. So we're, you know, and I know that you've been aware of spirit, you say, from being a very, very young child. Can I just ask you, in what way were you aware of spirit? Did you see, did you sense, did you feel?
Well, when I was small, without going into some circumstances that happened, I would actually come up out of my body and I would see myself lying down there, so I wasn't physically present, you know. I didn't understand at that time that it was out-of-body experiences. And I also had a little toy dog and bear. So the bear has really been with me all my life, but I had a little spirit bear friend which I didn't fully understand at the time, you know. And as conditioning and things happen, and my parents were strict Catholics, nobody really speaks about this, and so things went away. However, my intuition was always very strong. You know, I left home when I was 16 and a half. I had to rely on my sonic intelligence always. And for traveling and just looking at different situations. So that sort of developed. But I call myself a shaman. For the simple reason that's become more widely understood, but it's still misunderstood.
Well, there's a great mystique about shamanism, isn't there? And people really don't. They have an image of people far, far away, don't they? Certainly not here in the UK. But with shamanism, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you are able to go in and out of consciousness in order to talk to spirit, or am I being too simplistic here?
No, I think people overcomplicate spirituality. And I just want to address the shamanism because, as you know, I run one of the largest shaman groups on Facebook, and over the years we have had many battles of the egos, many different types of shamans coming in and laying down the law, what shamanism is and what it isn't. And I just want to put to bed what it is. The word shaman actually originated from the Tungus Siberians, but it became an umbrella term for a set of practices which meant that the shaman was able to go into a repeatable trance state to commune with spirits world. However, the umbrella term now encompasses many different shamans from jungles and different areas, Africa, South America, whatever. Some might just be fire keepers, some might work with herbs, some work with divination, so they had very different roles. I am more of an eclectic shaman that I bring it all together. I love to work with all the elements. There is nothing outside the bounds of my remit that I don't go into with the spirituality. So I used to call these people, sometimes in a group, textbook shamans. They would read a bit of knowledge and they would come in and lay down the law for other developing people and say, you don't do this, you can't do this.
So very strict with their rules.
Yes, but this is your reality and this isn't the reality of the spirit world, and I have never seen any of those people ever produce any spiritual evidence of manifestations of their work. So this actually extends to our normal spiritual community. You know, we have a lot of ego and waffle. And I think we actually need to mature as a human race to get past this competition and label and use our normal birthright abilities and psionic intelligence that we have. Psionic intelligence, for the listeners, you know, is our normal ability to use our intuition and to actually feel what's happening. And this is really important Because right now we're in an age of disinformation, coming into an era of disclosure. But how do you know what's happening? If you listen to the TV and the mainstream medias, you will have a certain spun narrative. Without using your natural psionic intelligence, how can you filter? You are going to be led. So, once upon a time, you know, in our original seed rootings of the angelic human, because we were angelic humans, through hybridization, genetic programs, different seed rootings, we lost our abilities, and we came from a 12-strand avatar, which is our Christed consciousness. We're in our full alert situation.
So can I just ask,
down to 2-strand.
So for people who don't understand, what is a Christ consciousness?
So where we are right now, a lot of people are talking about the Christ consciousness. Santos Bonacci has quite a good video on YouTube if people want to explore this further, which will show you the natural sine waves. Everything in our universe works on sine waves and frequencies.
Yes.
So for the past 13,000 years, we've come out of the kingdom of the world and we're coming into the kingdom of the Christ consciousness, which means that the energy in the world is now changing. Now, if for people who demand science, you can have a look at this on the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance was a band of frequency that ran around the outside of our Earth, but was very low level, and therefore if the frequency is down, we cannot tune into higher channels.
Yes.
With the meditations and the new UV light that is coming down, because the Earth is
Which
now in a photon belt.
We know because scientists also have registered this.
Yes.
So for those of you who think we are all away with the pixies here, if we want to just look at the scientists who we trust, we're told to trust, they are telling us about this, aren't they?
Yes, we're in a photon belt, so the UV is very high at the moment. It's bringing down a different frequency. And just for your listeners, I just want to explain, Yvette mentioned that I was in a corporate position for 20 years. In fact, I worked in the scientific research and development fields. So I am very up to date with a good understanding of the science community. And people who want to rely on scientists, well, some scientists can write a paper and then you will have some others that disagree, but people will reference this as gospel and not reference the balance side.
Yes, because there's not one correct science, that's the thing.
There isn't. Also, for example, this is new news that will be coming out. You know, gravity is not a natural force in our Earth. This was warfare machinery. The gravity is changing in our Earth. Now, if scientists are taught to work within a particular set of applications and models and standards, they are not creative science. This is following the step science. And even in myself, that I have seen before, where range tables would be extended on science to bring anomalies in within normal boundaries. So this is easy manipulation. For example, if you have a phone that says my electromagnetic radiation, that the safety limit is outside of this, but we know that really we should be out here, they just extend the range to say, but it's not really safe. So for me, people who want to quote science means that really you are just following what somebody is saying without having the awareness behind to see if this is correct information or not. Don't quote science. You know, you have to feel. We have to go back to our 5 senses.
But a lot of people are actually feeling, aren't they?
Starting to wake up.
And they don't know what they're feeling, but they know something's different. They know that they sense, but because they can't put their finger on it in a practical way that we've been taught, which is, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist, they just ignore it, they put it to the side. And then on those quiet moments, they can feel it again. And then a lot of people say at the moment, I'm feeling lighter, feeling something's just different, but can't again put their finger on it.
What is happening, you know, outside here, and we'll come back to the Christ consciousness, we have these very high UV rays coming down. Now, if you look at some of the colors that are coming through that I pick up on the sun when I do my images, you will see different brighter vibrations, which are like otherworldly colors or corrected vibration colors coming down through our sun. So we have a frequency, and it's important to spend a little bit of time talking about this because our whole world runs on frequency. My body is made up of many different vibration levels, but it's compacted frequency that is in a dense form. So at the moment, I look quite solid, but nothing is solid. It's very compacted particles together. Now, as we are moving, they're saying from the carbon-based body to a more crystalline, actually our body is pretty crystalline. Our teeth have apatite. Apatite is a particular type of crystal.
Right.
Our spine and our bone is microcrystalline in our body. Around our pineal gland we have microcrystalline structure, which we can create a piezoelectric effect by squeezing this energy. So our body is already crystalline, but it has become more carbon-based through the dropping of the DNA and the hybridization and different genetic programs over time. Now, with this UV ray coming in, it's upgrading what is known as the light body, which was originally we came from light and sound, which manifested into form. Now, very slowly, we're starting to upgrade from the first harmonic universe, which is more carbon-based. We're moving into crystalline, which means that our body is becoming slightly less dense in its vibration field. Now, on the human scale of an actualized human to 1000, we have a frequency scale. 500 operates at love, 1000 is an avatar. Most people operating down here in lack of confidence, fear, ego, paranoia, jealous, shame, things. So this is like I call it the spiritual dancing pole. So people are slowly moving up in frequency through the body, the changes in the Earth's magnetic core, and they're moving up in frequency. And some people, the first thing is they get a little bit scared with what's happening. Right. It's a fear frequency. Then once they normalize it, then they enter willingness to what is actually happening. Right. Before they go into acceptance, and then they start going more into, the states of love. So this is what's happening with the Christ consciousness, means that we open up. I see myself as walking as an extension of the Christ consciousness wherever I walk. Now, what do I mean by this? It means that I am working under the universal law of one, which is from our Emerald Order teachings, our original teachings. And law of one teachings talk about, number one, is unity consciousness. So I'm just going to go through those 7 principles to explain them, because it's important. What is unity consciousness? It's not a hive mind mentality, as some people believe. Unity consciousness means that we all work to a set of principles with our own unique abilities. Once upon a time, everybody had telepathy, telekinesis, intuition, which has been dumbed down because people aren't creative, they don't tap into this. So unity consciousness is that we work underneath these governing laws and principles. 1 is unity consciousness, we pull together. 2 is we must love ourselves. Now everybody hears this. It took me a long time to understand what it means to actually love yourself. It's got nothing to do with appearance. It means that I accept myself fully as I am, knowing that everything that has happened to me hasn't happened. I chose it as a higher soul. I chose my parents, I chose the experiences, the failed relationships, which taught me a lot. Now, a lot of people get embroiled in that and they get stuck. I was able to pull myself back and look and say, okay, what was actually happening here? Change my past karma, do ancestral line cleaning, back in our families, do many things that pulled me out. And through loving myself and accepting myself, so we'll come to our chakras just now, because it's very important to explain these. People don't understand these energy centers at all, really, I find. Through loving myself, we then are able to love others unconditionally. So I love the sheep, I love the cattle, I love them all. Everybody has a place, and we have to understand that. Everybody chose their role in this ascension period. So we needed both sides.
So I was just going to say, so as much as you can get frustrated at what's happening, everybody has a role.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that gives you a little bit more understanding and awareness, that you stand back and say, actually, I don't pity those that aren't working with the light. You chose this for your evolution, and you might have to come back and reincarnate again before you evolve to higher states of awareness. That's your ascension path. So we go from unity consciousness to loving ourselves, to loving others. We must love animals and nature. Everything out there, you will see from some of my photos, a connection. We are connected. We are not disconnected, even though people feel they are, because you've lost this connection ability. This is what feeds us information. We need to work in harmony with us. The next one is that we leave in the old paradigms of service to self, and we're going into now service to others. And this doesn't mean to say in our spiritual communities we can't make money, but it means that we are not guided by money first, which is service to self.
Yes.
We are guided by our missions in what we're doing and helping, evolving and empowering people, and through that we will get abundance through the reciprocal. So that's important to understand. The next one is consciousness expansion. We have to expand our consciousness. The human consciousness is so small and controlled within frequency bandwidths now that it's not able to tune into these frequencies, your higher selves, your avatar groups, you know, your ascension guides. So how do we do this? We'll talk about this just now, how to clean the light body. And the last one then is responsible co-creation. So I walk in an extension of the Christ consciousness, knowing that I leave an energetic signature wherever I go.
Is that what we can feel when we walk into a room?
Yes.
You know, you can walk into a room, somebody's had an argument, and you can feel,
you feel that tension.
Yeah.
It's very dense mass. So this is very much like black magic energy. It's very heavy, it's very dense, where it's very a light vibration when you work in the light. So we have to have now responsible co-creation going forward, knowing that each of us is a battery that is emitting, receiving and storing frequency. It's not anybody else's fault if we have a trigger, if we get angry, if things go wrong. It's how we manage that. Because if we stay calm, it doesn't matter if there's a war around us, this vibration field doesn't change. I try to keep mine in a very high vibration state because I am transforming, I'm transmuting, I'm pulling down light, I'm changing. At one time we could not get light into this matrix properly. Now we're able to pull more light down. We are changing the frequencies from within a controlled environment. This is a big change for us. So the Christ consciousness is working with these law of one, these principles. They're very nice, you know. Unity consciousness, love ourselves, love others, love nature, be of service to others.
But then why is it that some people are, like yourself, very aware and have been aware from a young age of lots of things outside of yourself and a sense of feeling, and others can literally walk through life. I always see it like walking over a field that has bombs in it, you know. I always think of it in my head that way, that some of us, we walk across the field and we're jumping everywhere because we're aware that at any point something's going to just pop up, and then there are other people who literally have a picnic on the same field and have not a clue. Why is it that some people just have an absolute or extended awareness, and other people literally will be born, will live, will die, and they won't have looked outside of themselves?
It's all really to do with what your higher self agreed in your incarnation. So we'll speak a little bit about the death-life cycle in this. So those with greater awareness, it was our mission to wake up faster in this life because of this ascension cycle.
So we would have chosen to come in at this point.
We came in at this particular point for this life cycle, yeah.
Right, which would that make sense why a lot of us have felt completely not really alive fully and wondering what the hell, what's my biggest thing? I'm saying this to the cameraman now. Haven't I said for years, why are we here? Hasn't that been my big thing? Yeah, he's nodding, he's actually nodding, yeah. So that is that sense of what's the purpose of this, and now we're all coming together, are we?
We are, so I just want to speak because there's a few different things coming up. These are quite big areas. So for example, if I just use myself and everybody else is the same, when our soul and our spirit are eternal, we never die. But what we do is we choose, well, we didn't have a choice really in the reincarnation, and we'll explain that a little bit. But originally we came into a human avatar form to experience and choose the experiences for our soul evolution and growth.
Right, but where, because I know the people listening will want to know where from. So when we pass, because it's going to happen to all of us, we can't escape it, but there is a fascination and a fear equally of where are we going back to?
Okay, so if we go back to what I said about 10 minutes ago, that originally, in the beginning of creation, we were light and sound.
Right.
We were this vibration of light and sound, which then manifested into denser form over time.
Right.
And so the human evolution, if you go back to galactic history, and this will sound strange for people who never explore this, but there's many different solar races and ET races outside of here. Some of these were our families, you know, that we came from. The human today is a mixture of many different races. So when we came down, we'll talk about this particular reincarnation because this is important now. We're in an ascension period whether people realize this or not. it's not only the Earth that's ascending, the whole of the universe is ascending. So there's a lot of vested interests,
so they would
parties
want
on both
us,
sides.
they'd want us to ascend, some would want us to ascend because that's going to help them, and others want us to keep us...
Because it's a dying paradigm. So in this lifetime, what used to happen was the human soul would die as such. There's no death because our spirit is eternal, and as soon as you died and people would head for the white light, they would be trapped in the nets, and the nets were these neural electronic transmission things. The souls were captured, the mind was blanked, and they were put back in here with none of their psionic intelligence, no mind blank, and to live this life of the slave trade, which the human has been in for many times.
So would we, even though we were trapped and brought back, would we still have had that opportunity to choose the other people? No.
You do choose your parents and your life experiences, but you don't have much of a choice, you know, in what happened.
Right.
Now, when the ascension period, as people pass on, many different things are happening now. If people are still at a very low 3D vibration, we'll talk about these vibrations again in the chakras, they will not have evolved enough to actually move through the ascension cycles. They will have to reincarnate, come back in, repeat the cycle but they will be helped by the different frequencies in Earth, the morphogenetic resonance, where we all tap into the psionic intelligence. They will have more of a helping hand than humanity has had.
Right.
Because energy is moving forward. So for those people who have higher states of awareness, moving on, they move, when the ascension happens, and they will be able to choose the evolutionary route of where they go for their greater soul.
So they're not stuck here this time. So when they head for the light, they can get to the light.
Yes, it won't be the light as such. I want to talk about this light because there's a lot of false light, and people think white light means holy. Light, anybody can put on a light, you know. Any entity can come in the light. It's the frequency in that light that cannot lie, and which is why you have to develop a psionic intelligence to feel. So as a shaman, I've had many encounters at very deep levels, depending on whether I've done extreme land clearances or working with people in very heavy energies, and light will lie. It will come in as an alliance, or paraphrase like your work, so it looks similar. You have to have this intelligence to be able to discern between right and wrong.
So when you're working with spirit, and because you've had the most magnificent orbs in your filming, which is very rare for people to be able to bring the evidence in, because I know I have long time ago used to do a lot of different work at different colleges, but what was really interesting with the tutors at the different colleges, very few had this backup of look what we can do. I mean, I did meet some magnificent people, College of Psychic Studies, but it was so rare. So when I see your footage and your photographs, when you bring in these huge, enormous orbs, I mean, that dance around you, that's my dog going back and forwards, if it sounds like tap dancing. And he's blind, so it could be some time before he lies down again. He's not quite sure where he is. So when I see these orbs, and you know, how do you obviously you pick up who is, where it's coming from. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it from the light? Is it?
I only work with the light.
Right, okay, okay.
So outside of shamanism, you know, I did many other practices. I've looked at black magic, voodoo. This is very big in Africa as well, where I grew up, you know. Black magic and white magic are just to do with intention and different densities of energy.
Right.
So for me, I work in a consistent high state. I've put on my wall before, I've shared the 12D platinum shield. Now the human body, most of the human bodies work at the 3D vibration level. At 3D, and we'll talk about what dimensions are because people don't have an idea of this as well. When you work at a 3D and you're using a 12D shield, a 12D is a higher buffering and protection around the body.
Right.
Now the problem with the 12D shield is when people first start to use it, you can only hold that frequency in your light body for an hour and a half. Over 3 months of consistent use, you will be able to use it for 12 to 14 hours. I use this religiously, my children do, as my son sitting over there. I'm in a high state of working all the time.
Right.
Entities were able to come in up to the 11th dimension, so we were outside the bounds of interference.
But for your regular medium, when people go to see, you know, a psychic, a medium, and also, may I say, because I do know a couple who are well known, you know, and it's all very show busy, and it's all about promotion and selling the tickets. What are they, well, I know what one is picking up, but people are still paying for it, but what are they actually bringing in?
So this is more to do with mediumship.
Right.
We're talking about a lot of these are fake people, as we know, with earpieces in that have already listened to the audience. This is nonsense. But actually sometimes people just using a very limited amount of intelligence. I used to teach mediumship circles.
Right.
Anybody can do that within 2 hours of sitting down and just trying. You can bring in some sort of information. So this isn't something really that people should go and pay for, you know.
Right.
This is very baby level stuff. But actually mediumship, as we are moving through times, mediumship is dealing with the past planes, the past death, where the soul frequencies are changing now and the evolutions are moving. So the mediumship will have to change in time.
Right.
This is important. But I just want to come back to these chakras, because this will make more sense for people. One, I spoke about everything is vibrationary. My phone has a vibration that it emits, although I have Shanghai patches on the back of this to stop the EMR radiation, which means it normalizes the frequencies around my body. I don't want to be battered with these big towers that they built outside and these other frequencies.
Yes, you just reminded me, yes.
Actually, I have something that is plugged in at home, and it's like nanotechnology, and it harmonizes the frequencies so that they're less disruptive to my system.
Right.
You know, this is LCD, liquid crystal display, and our televisions have the same sort of technology. There's patents out that will say that this will disrupt your nervous system, your nervous system. Then the United States and Japan took this technology a stage further and actually used it for using the flicker in the screen for hypnotizing people. This is why it's a TV program, or tell a lie vision. You're being spun something. One of the things that I have really never done is really been a television person. I grew up in Africa running around, I lived in a boarding school, I didn't have this in my normal stuff. So my creative abilities have always been different. I haven't been fed the drivel and the narratives, and therefore I'm slightly different in how I view and see things. And I've stayed the same, and still to this day, although my kids love it because we're the age of technology, I still have refrained from these things. But everything has a vibration, so water vibrates, this has a vibration, and if you're walking around unprotected every day, you're going to be buffeted by many different vibrations that you'll come in and you might snap at the partner, you don't know why, or you've done something. It's because something is an intrusion. Our normal peaceful state is not like this. Now in the normal human body, there's very corrupt teachings around chakras. We have 7 of the physical chakras in the body that people know about. They're not just chakras, they're not just prescriptive colors. These are energy centers in our body that have a particular particle spin. And if you can imagine this is a chakra, and there's a rod in it with a particle spin, if they're off axis, these are not going to be firing properly. Now, what's happened is a dimension is a state of consciousness, a reality. Our world has been very much trapped in the first 3 dimensions, which is our root chakra, the first chakra. This is to do with survival. The second, the sacral, is to do with our sexuality. The third, our solar plexus, is to do with our power. These are the big disruptions in the human population now. Power, sexuality, and survival. So in the human body, the light body, science will prove this through scalar wave readings and other things, after these first 3 chakras there was magnetic repulsion systems inserted in the light body so that people weren't able to go above this frequency. Now things are changing, people are moving into the 4D. This is the heart area, our normal heart. This is the 4th dimensional. Once the heart opens, it's the doorway. So, opening the top 3. So the first 3 are really soul-based, the top 3 are really our spirit. So now we start to move from the heart, we go into, you know, our throat. This is what 5D is about. It's not a destination, it's a state of consciousness. So for me, when I'm looking at the current state of the energy, and I see people come in, and a lot of people are coming in with emotional disturbances now, problems in relationships, things that aren't working, because the heart is forcing things up for clearance. This is the time for clearing the karma. Some people have navigated this a little bit and gone into the 5th. The 5th is speaking our truth. This is our throat, talking our truth. So we see this happening a lot.
Yes, we do now.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Some people are moving into the 6th, which is more expanded awareness. So this is what happens with the chakras. So we have 7 in this body, and then we have another 8, which is our morphogenetic. So we have another layer that wraps around our body, which is our high heart, chakra 8. Chakra 9, our God doorway. Then we have 10, 11 up here. We have 12 below the ground, and 13. Then 14 right above us, and then 15. These are like energy fields around our body, different states of consciousness. Now, in the beginning I spoke about that most of the humans are 2-strand. Some may have dropped to 1.5. Some people are going towards 3, but we are trying to recode the light body back to 12. Science tells us we have a lot of junk DNA. It's not junk DNA, it's dormant states of consciousness that have been turned off with epigenetics and other things over time. And as we start to come more online, we will start to tap in, which is why people start to think, okay, something's not quite right out there, but I don't know why. Because they're starting to tap into a different vibrational field and a state of consciousness.
And do you feel that because more and more people are sort of waking up now, our frequency, as our frequency gets lighter, we have to therefore be touching other people's. It's a bit like a 100 monkey test, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Just as when people are depressed around you, that affects you, but you can feel, feel the energies getting lighter. And you know what's really interesting? You start talking to people, and you have no idea, but they're feeling exactly the same way.
Yes.
So we're all sort of around the earth at the moment. It feels like we're all.
I think it's important for people to understand when I was speaking about unity consciousness and what is actually happening. It's very important that you start to tap into the psionic intelligence. One of the reasons why we were kept several feet apart from ourselves was because we're outside of the heart torus field and we speak to each other. Now, when I run firewalking events or big group events, you can see where the energy comes into cohesion. Same as you see 30 people drumming, the first 3 minutes is chaotic and then whoosh. Now, they have measured firewalkers and spectators in San Pedro, and they found that all the heartbeats were synchronized when we come together.
Yes.
We're a growing force.
Yes.
Now, what is actually happening outside, and I want to speak about this, this unity consciousness is very important. Our energy web is very much like the internet. We can connect to everything. So the web is this. Unity consciousness is very much like the cloud where everybody stores their data. Now, what is in this unity consciousness up here? Well, there's very enlightened people. There's people in varying stages of waking up. Then there's people who are totally disassociated, unconscious, mental abilities, schizophrenics, depressed. Then you have got people who are totally Luciferian, satanic. So unity consciousness is a spaghetti junction at the moment, a hodgepodge of absolute mixed bag of frequencies. Now what happens with this cloud of consciousness, it goes up to the hologram in the energy, it takes time to come back down, manifest and roll out. So everything we're experiencing here at the moment is past action.
So it's already happened.
It's already happened as such. We've created it and it's come down. Now what's happening is the world is moving, people are starting to wake up. So knowing what I have just said and using the law of one, responsible co-creation, from today people can make changes. If you have negative thoughts, start to change them. This creates a neural change in the mind. If there's other attachments in the body, this is different. Then we do healing and we do cleaning. But the more we lighten this body, and knowing that everything we eat, drink, hear, see is either going to harm us or heal us, we need to start responsibly choosing to do more of the things that make us feel good, do less of the things that make us feel bad, and therefore we create better nows. And if our nows are better, that goes up and manifests, and it comes down, and we have a better environment, a reality around us.
But how, can I just say, with all the fear at the moment that's being fed, how can somebody listening to this can say, right, well, it's all right for Michelle, because, you know, Michelle must be in a different place, because they go, you know, I am depressed, I am going to lose my home, I am being fed fear, whether I know what you're going to say, switch the radio off, switch the TV off, because, you know, we don't really
watch.
Yeah, exactly, but we don't really watch, and it does feel better. How are they going to move? How are they going to shift from that real worry of losing their home, having kids to look after, to act? Because like you say, if you want to manifest something, you have to be thinking higher in order for it
to be. And I will come back to the spiritual dancing pole. The fear and that with these lower frequencies.
Yeah.
You have to make a conscious effort. Fear is a state of being, like love is a state of being. People think you fall in love. Love is actually a state of being. It's a vibrational field, you know. Fear is a state of being. Now, I teach people to firewalk and many things to overcome fears. Because fear is just a frequency level. It's a low vibration. So you have to do things to raise the body vibration. So, pardon my pun, crap will still happen in life. Like I wrote recently, I showed about, you know, in the Amazon, that in the Amazon River, there's always logs, there's always debris, there's always other boats. Now, what are we going to do? Crash each time? Or we learn to navigate and steer around them. And therefore, the stuff happens around us, but we don't react to it so much. It's a state of being. In order to increase and take away fear, we have to address our spirituality. We are spirits. We cannot disconnect from this.